This video is all about how to find the true self, how to get through the mind and the ego and all the layers of myths and stories to find the real you hiding underneath. My name is Brent Phillips. I am the founder and creator of the Awakening Dynamic System of Energy Healing and Higher Consciousness. And we're here with video number 7 of 10 in our series, Prerequisites to Higher Consciousness. And my goal here is simple. I want to lay it all out, step for step, exactly what you need to know and be able to do, so that you are ready and prepared for a huge shift in your life, for a leap to higher consciousness, a different and better experience of day-to-day life. And of course, you'll make more money and be healthier and all that cool stuff too. This video specifically is about how do we find the true self? Because quite simply, as long as you think you are the ego, the separate being that almost everyone in this world thinks they are, you can't go any higher. There is a limit to how far you can go. By finding the true self, this is what we call the process of awakening. The sky is the limit. In fact, the whole second half of the human journey of consciousness is in the vehicle stage after awakening. The trouble is, in the world as it exists right now, at least as I'm creating this video, late 2023, early 2024, it's a mess. Most people are sleepwalking. They're zombies. They're grapes. They're sheeple, whatever term we want to use. It's not their fault, but they have no idea who they truly are. Through the process of awakening, you can find that true self. And I'm going to give you some hints right here in this video so you can start finding your true self right now, today. So first, I'll let you guys know there is a long answer. I have a whole program devoted to exactly this, called 30 Days to Awakening. If you're interested, it's pretty much guaranteed to get you to discover that true self, to find a complete spiritual awakening in 30 days or less. Check the description, check the links, shoot me an email, go to my website, awakeningdynamics.com. Would love to get it to you. So, how do we find the true self? Well, quite simply, the true self is found within the silence. What Carl would say is this: the true self is found in the stopping of the mind. Face your emotions and they become allies. Dive into them and there is dissolution and silence. And so this is a big thing. This is a huge, huge teaching here. That in order to find the true self, we must get through the layers of the mind and the ego, through all the clutter and noise, to find what's hiding underneath. And so this is the way I would describe it. In the last couple of videos, we talked about our metaphor that we're all connected by a hose up to the divine, to God or heaven or the higher dimensions, or however we want to think about that. And the quality of our life is pretty well determined by how much consciousness flows through that hose into our being. How much life force are you being supplied with every day by the universe? If it's a lot, you'll be healthy and vibrant and happy and have a ton of success. Make a lot of money. Have a lot of sex. Have a ton of friends. All that good stuff. If the hose is kinked and there's not much life force coming through, then we're starved for consciousness. We struggle. We're poor. We get sick. We're alone. We hate our lives. We'll even commit suicide if it gets bad enough. So what do we do about it? Well, it's pretty simple. That in order to find the true self, we have to let go of these intermediate layers of all these things that are not us. Now, to give you a great exercise that can help you find the true self, this is what I want you to do. That every day when you wake up for the next week, take 10 seconds right when you wake up to ask, what is my attitude, my perspective on the coming day, before you even get out of bed? Here's what most people find. Most of us have an expectation of conflict, of difficulty, of resistance before we even open our eyes in the morning. So what's going to happen? That's exactly what we're going to experience. So you wake up expecting that your kids are going to be difficult and there's going to be traffic on the road and your boss is going to be a jerk and you're given too many projects and not enough time, whatever the drama is. We wake up with an expectation of difficulty, resistance. Most of us see our day as a bunch of stuff we got to get through. Just get to the other side. get through it, get to the evening, get to the weekend, get to the vacation. Then we can relax and be happy. The trouble is, that doesn't really make for a very satisfying life now, does it? We're always looking ahead, always sacrificing the now for what we hoped is some better future. But what's really going on is you wake up expecting things to be hard, and they will be. So I encourage you, do that every day for a week and post some comments here. What did you find? You might be that rare person that wakes up and goes, hey, life is an exciting adventure. What's going to happen today? I'm so curious. Am I going to get the job? Am I going to win the lottery? Am I going to get hit by a car? Wow, it's so exciting. What could happen? That's actually more of the true self. And so by seeing your attitude when you wake up in the morning, that shows you these filters of the ego and the mind. They're not really you, but they're what you think is you. And that's the trick. That it's not the real you that wakes up being pessimistic and negative. It's the conditioned thinking in the mind. It's the ego. It's not your fault. What Caro would say is this from his writing: silence mirrors back the neurotic condition of the false self, created by a fixation in the attachment to form. So that's a bunch of words, and I'm going to break it down for you word by word, step by step. I'll say it again. Silence mirrors back the neurotic condition of the false self, created by fixation in the attachment to form. So what does it mean? Well, first, we get identified with the false self. What does that mean? It simply means you aren't what you thought you are. Most of us think we're a man or a woman or a human or some kind of spiritual being. Just so you know, none of those is correct. Those are all parts of the whole. None of them is the whole. So we have this false identification. We all think we're the ego, and it's not your fault. There's a great old Zen joke that goes something like this. There's an old fish and two young fish swimming around in the ocean. And the old fish swims up to the young fish and says, "Oh, boys, how's the water today?" And the two young fish look at each other and they're like, "Who's this crazy guy? And what the heck is water?" That's the joke. Fish don't know they live in water. Why? It's all they know. They have no reference point, no context for not living in water. So they're not even aware the water is there. That's what happens to us. In our culture, we're so fixated, so obsessed with the ego, that most of us don't even see it. That's exactly why you may have spent your entire life before these videos thinking, of course I know what I am. What do you mean, false identification? Right. Most of us have no idea we're living from ego because it's like the fish, they don't know they live in water. It's all you've known, it's all you've seen, so you don't even see it. So I'm going to give you a hint on how we discover the true self. Again, the full process is called awakening. If you're interested, check the links in the description. I got a great program for it. But when I went through my own awakening, first of all, it took me like 10 years. It wasn't easy. Lots of study of different kinds of Advaita, and I studied Ramana Maharshi and Nisargadatta and all the great masters and gurus. I didn't really get it. Then, after a lot of study, there was one night I took a class called The Psychology of Non-Duality, and awakening clicked. I finally started to get it. My moment of awakening, I'll never forget. I was driving home from this class, driving my wife's car, stopped at a stop sign, and it hit me like a bolt of lightning. It was, pardon my French, literally I said, "Oh shit, I am not Brent." That was the moment of awakening. That was when this guy finally saw that I had been living my life thinking I was something different than I actually was. That's all false identification is, and it won't get you far. Imagine you're going to see the Rolling Stones concert, and you walk up to the security guard at the backstage entrance and go, "Hey, let me in, I'm Mick Jagger." And they're like, "No, dude, you're not Mick Jagger, you don't get to come in." That's not going to work, right? They know you're not Mick Jagger. And if you force it, they're probably going to beat you up, maybe have you arrested. That's how most of us live our lives. We're showing up thinking we're one thing, but we're not that thing. So of course it doesn't work very well, right? It'd be like if you showed up at the bank and said, "Hey, I'm Bill Gates, I want to withdraw $1 billion. They're like, "No, dude, you're not Bill Gates, no money for you." That's it. So that's the false identification. What you really are is the observing, the silence, the stillness in the middle, having the experience of a man or a woman going through a life on earth. You are the verb, not the noun. So what exactly did Carl mean when he says silence mirrors back the neurotic condition of the false self created by fixation in the attachment to form? Well, we just covered the false self. When you think you're something you're not, then you get very fixated on particular forms. Let's give a simple example. If you think you are a man, then I may think, hey, I'm Brent Michael Phillips, and that's me. And so I go, wow, I need money to pay for my rent, to buy food. Oh gosh, in order to get money, I need a good job. Well, I'm going to apply for this job. Oh God, I better get the job. Oh God, if I don't get it, I'm screwed. Oh geez, right? So we create all these conditions that we think we need to have. That's what's meant by the fixation on form. We think, oh, I need to have this money, or I need to have this girlfriend, or this car, or this job, or I'm screwed. And sometimes it's the exact opposite. I can't have this thing happen, or I'm screwed. Oh God, if I have to take that job, or marry this person, or drive that car, oh God, my life is over, I'm screwed. That's the neurosis. That's the attachment to form. The truth is that you, the real you, is gonna be perfectly okay no matter what, because you are not a being within polarity. You're not a man or a woman or a spiritual being or a soul. Those things are all real. It's just not you. But when you think you're a man, a woman, a separate being, of course you get attached to form. The truth is there's only one of us. Here's a question for everyone. I would love to have everyone answer in the comments, if you don't mind. How many lifetimes do you have to live on Earth before you are done with being human? Think about it. Then I'm going to give you the answer. The answer is simple. All of them. Every human that's ever lived or ever will live. You are all of them because there's only one of us here. That's why when you're identified with the true self, it doesn't matter because you're everyone and everything. Let's give an example. Let's say you're in a race and the winner of the race wins $1,000. So you go, oh, wow, I really need that money. I enter the race and you lose. You're like, oh God, my life sucks. I don't have the money. I'm a loser. That's all the ego trauma. Someone of very high consciousness would see, well, heck, 8 people run the race, 1 wins, 7 lose. That's the nature of races. And I lost today, but that's okay because it's the same me and the other 7 racers. No matter what happens, you always win and you always lose. That's why people of high consciousness are not so attached to the agenda of the ego. They go, hey, you know what? We're in a love triangle. Me and my buddy both are in love with the same woman. Oh, gee, I hope she chooses me. Again, understandable, but that's all ego. The fact is, she may choose you or the other guy, or may reject both of you and go out with a third guy. Or heck, maybe she's a lesbian and she's not interested in any guy. I mean, I don't know, right? The point is, someone of high consciousness would go, hey, it doesn't really matter if I win or lose today because I'm going to win eventually and I'm going to lose eventually. Good metaphor would be, I remember when I was in grammar school and they'd have a birthday cake and everyone would be pushing each other out of the way to get the first slice of cake. That always seemed kind of silly to me. I'm like, why should I be pushing other kids out of the way? I can just wait a few minutes and everyone's going to get cake. Whether I eat it right now or 5 minutes from now, it doesn't matter now, does it? Exactly. That's how a vehicle sees life. That's how Carl saw life. That's how our greatest teachers, Jesus, Buddha, and Gandhi, and all these amazing people, that's how they saw it. That's what I mean by you're not so attached to form because you realize you're the observing. You will experience every single thing every human has ever experienced. Period. That's how it works. There's only one of us. And so again, does it matter who wins or who loses today? Not really. You're the winner and the loser, the up and the down of it, the in and the out of it. Different way of thinking, huh? I warned you when we started this will blow your mind and change your life. It really will. So the last piece I want to cover here, another great teaching from Carl, I'll give it to you in his words first. He says, Silence reveals the veiling of pure consciousness through the actions of ego identification. It's like, wow, that's kind of complicated, right? That sounds hard. I'm going to break it down for you. And so basically, ego identification, again, means we think we're something we're not. You think you're a man or a woman or a human being or a soul on a spiritual journey. All incorrect. You are not a noun or any kind of being or separate quantity. You are the everything. You are the experiencing of everything. And so when we look at this, what's happening is because we got tricked into thinking we're a man, a woman, a being, and we got very attached to the things they want or don't want, we get blinded to the pure consciousness that is inside of us. Just think about it. Every one of our great master teachers has had a version of that teaching. There is peace and stillness and silence and joy within you, no matter what's happening on the outside. This is the truth. This is why so many of our great teachers practice this and live this. And so most of us in the modern world have no idea. There's a huge amount of joy, of success, of contentment, of relaxation sitting inside of us. But most of us don't see that. All we see is the outside. To be happy, I need to have money, an attractive partner, a big house, financial security. None of that's true. There's nothing wrong with that. It's great to have a job, to make money, to buy a big house, to have a beautiful wife. That's great. That's all great. The trouble is, it's going to bring you a little bit of temporary joy. That's nothing compared to the joy in the inside. And it's unfortunate that in our obsession to make better lives, I want to make more money, I want to be healthier, I want to live longer, I want to have less pain. We're totally ignoring this huge well inside of us of exactly the things we want. Joy, passion, contentment, relaxation, ease, all these beautiful things. That's what Carl meant when he said that we get identified with the ego and it blinds us. It veils the pure consciousness. And the reason I'm giving you all these teachings is to help you tap into that pure consciousness within you, the joy, the presence, the purpose. You don't need to make money, though you want to. That's great. Make as much money as you can. Awesome. Have as much sex as you want. Buy as many cars, boats, airplanes, spaceships, aircraft carriers, whatever. Go nuts. But you'll find all those things bring a little bit of temporary joy. Then you need more. That leads right to the cycle of addiction. Because you know what? I can go drink a couple beers, get a nice buzz, but then it wears off. If I keep doing it, I need more and more beer and I get less of a buzz. Fast forward a few months, congratulations, now you're an alcoholic. So when we pursue gratification through form, through the ego and the outside, it's never going to scratch the itch. You may get a little temporary reprieve, which is great, but it's not going to make a permanent shift. What can be permanent is tapping into what's within, to pull back the veil on this huge amount of consciousness that's on the inside. Because remember, you all got a hose coming from heaven down through your top of your head, feeding your body. The more consciousness that comes through that, the more alive and aware and connected you are. The more peace you'll have, the more prosperity, love, all the good things. And so the thing I want to leave you with is this. When I see my students and clients, a lot of them come to me, their lives are a mess. My life was a mess when I got into this. When I had my first healing session with Terry O'Connell back in 2003, I was depressed. I was suffering from terrible chronic pain. I was suicidal. I had massive social anxiety. I had terrible knots in my back. I was in debt. I didn't know if I'd be able to stay in my apartment. I mean, all these things. And I was a trainer. Some of my clients and students are like that. Life has kicked your ass. You've had a disease. You lost a loved one. You lost money or a job or a home. All these horrible things that can happen. And we think we're garbage, we're losers, we're failures. This is what I see. I see every person. If you were a car, you'd be this beautiful, brand new, shining, elegant, awesome Ferrari. But you're covered in mud. So imagine you bought a brand new Ferrari and you bring it home. Your wife, your husband, whoever you live with, doesn't realize how valuable it is. So they take it out off-roading and get it caked in mud. And they bring it back and you don't see a Ferrari, you see some big car-shaped thing covered in mud. And you go, it's ugly. Put it up on blocks, throw a cover on it. I don't want to look at it. That's you and me. We're all Ferraris covered in mud. All these old traumas and beliefs and stories and myths. All we got to do is clean off the mud. Every one of us is this beautiful, valuable, incredible machine. So I see everyone that comes to me, no matter how broken, how much in pain. We're all just Ferraris covered in mud. And it's not that hard to rinse off the mud. And that's the whole point of these videos. I want to show you how to rinse off that mud to find the real you hiding underneath. I got a whole program for it called 30 Days to Awakening. Check it out if you're interested. Otherwise, please go find the teacher of the process that calls to you. Find the true self. Find that connection to higher consciousness and never look back. That's all I got to say for now. We'll be back very soon with our next video in the series. We're getting close to the end. As usual, I hope you found this valuable, informative, maybe even entertaining. If you struggled with some of the content, no worries. This is big stuff. Listen to it over and over again. And if you're really stuck, forget about the words. Just listen to the sound of my voice. All the information you need is there. Delete the need to understand. Until next time, please take care and namaste.